everybody, and welcome back to my kitchen. Today I'm going to share with you one of the easiest ways that you can save a lot of money. It was a fad in the 1990s. Today is something that can be a staple in our own home. Now, while you don't need a bread machine to make homemade bread, it is really helpful because the process is so much simpler. And you can find these bread machines just about anywhere, really reduced. Today I'm going to make for you homemade white bread, and I'm going to be using the bread machine. Now, of course, all of my recipes you can use by hand, but since I have the bread machine, I might as well use it because it really is beneficial for saving you time and your energy. This is my ultimate favorite bread machine cookbook. This cookbook I have recommended for years. It's basically just about the only one that I use because each recipe has pictures, it's so clear instructions, and it's really easy to follow. We are going to make some classic homemade Amish white bread. Now, this recipe, like I said, you can use it by hand. One of the things I'm really working on this year is zero waste and ways to save money. How can I make something instead of spend for it? Now, not everybody is able to have a stocked full pantry, and I understand that. But a lot of times you can find supplies really reasonable if you shop around, especially at Walmart or Dollar Trees. All of my ingredients I got for pennies on the dollar, and it's so much cheaper for me to make homemade bread than it is to buy it. Plus, it's so much better for you. You know what's going into your bread, and you know that it's going to be a lot more nutritious than anything you buy in the store. The only thing is with homemade bread is it won't last as long. So about three days to 4 days is the ultimate limit when you can have store-bought bread for over a week. That's because of all the preservatives. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to make some homemade white bread. For those of you who've been admiring this cookbook stand, I got it at the Dollar Tree. It is really heavy, and I cannot believe the Dollar Tree had this. So take a look at your local Dollar Tree, because even the guy at the cashier said, this is really good quality for the Dollar Tree, and I agreed. The important thing is, if you're using a bread machine, is to follow the instructions in the order of the items that you put in your bread pan. Usually calls for the liquid first, and it's calling for 1 1/8 cup of water, 3 cups of bread flour. Do you like these measuring cups? These were from the 1980s, and I think they're so quaint. I love using old-fashioned items, things from the 80s and the 90s, and even older. So I'm on my 3rd cup of the bread flour. And then it calls for dry milk, 1 1/2 teaspoons of dry milk. As you see, I keep all of my items in glass jars. It lasts a lot longer that way. 2 tablespoons of sugar. Sugar is what helps the yeast to rise. You could omit this for honey. Malt is really great for a really brown crust. It is in the flour section department, but you probably have to get this online. This was given to me because it was left over from an Amish pantry, and they had a lot of it they couldn't sell. So I'm only using about a tablespoon of this. You don't use very much of it. Then it calls for 3 teaspoons of yeast. This yeast actually expired in 2017, but because I kept it in the freezer the whole time, it's just as fresh as the day I bought it. Keeping yeast in your freezer is going to help it last almost indefinitely. Then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of butter. I already have my butter cut in tablespoons, so we just put 2 of these blocks of butter. Really would try to recommend you using real butter in your ingredients because it does make a very good product. And then I use about a teaspoon of salt. And there you go, everyone. It's all finished. Now all we have to do is push on a button, and in a matter of a couple hours, we're going to have a fresh loaf of homemade bread. Things I've really been reading about the Great Depression and cooking was they made a lot of soup. And today I'm just making something really simple. We've all made it. Chicken noodle soup. So I have a little bit of chicken left over from chicken that I made yesterday. And then all we're going to do is, I'm just opening up all of my pantry items. My broth. Adding my canned corn, which I have videos for all of these, and I'll share it with you at the end of this one. There you go. And I have a little bit of this broth that I was using for a project for a video. And we're just going to finish this up, the Dollar Tree broth. And there you go, my friends. That's all it is to it. We're going to heat it up really well, and I'm going to add some seasonings, and then I'm going to add some noodles to it. And I'll show you that in a moment. And just like that, we have a healthy meal. Very frugal. Just like the Great Depression in the soup kitchens all across America. Didn't cost very much, it's healthy, and it fills you up. Now all I have to do is have a little bit of some crusty white bread, and my meal is complete.